hate when y'all make me do this shit.
Wagwan guys, what's going on? I hope you're doing well. I cannot complain myself. This is a interesting video. It's a really good topic. I'm going to try to get it all together in a timely manner for you guys, okay? And try to make this clear as possible. So it's an interesting topic for a few reasons, because it's a touchy topic, number one. And also, two, is because not a lot of people have talked about this in the past. Yes, you can pull up clips. You have Tyler, the Creator, talking about it. He's done interviews before where he's trying to convey his thought pattern or his thought process sees to this. And he's saying that it's basically contradictory for someone else to not be able to say the N-word just because they're not black. Okay, that's the way he's thinking about it. He had another controversial incident where Kendrick Lamar took a fan on stage to rap his raps bar for bar, line for line, but stopped her to make sure she would paraphrase and not actually say his raps bar for bar because the N-word was included in there. You have Boosie go on Vlad. He clearly got his point across, but you see some rappers struggle with that because, yes, it's a certain ideology, it's a certain story, is a certain message that you are pushing through your music, and we all have to come to terms with that and say, yes, this is true. There is some message in your music. There is some type of lifestyle that you're pushing. While Boosie, he clearly conveyed in that interview with Vlad that he feels it's okay for his fans to say his raps, even though he does have a lot of, profanity in there, because they're not emphasizing or saying it in a negative way. There's no negative connotation that they're using it through by repeating his raps, right? And again, these guys make a ton of money off of this stuff. So I would not want to say, oh, I'm stepping on these guys' shoes, and strike these guys with litigation, which could possibly happen. Because you try to you get these ideologies and you get them all wound up, and you're gonna say, okay, this is the leading thought one. It's not. This is a whole different other individual who's has different morals, ideology, standards of living, and everything to include it. Okay, and just to put a pin in it right there. You had this young lady, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. I think it's Anicia. So you had her. She basically got into it, or she was addressing this rapper, I believe that Mexican OT. And he was in an interview, and it gets, like I said, it gets pretty silly. In an interview, I believe that he had, it went viral, and it gets pretty disrespectful when you to a certain degree, right? Take it with a grain of salt, but it does get pretty disrespectful when you look at it through whatever lens you're looking at it. And some people feel like it's okay to use the N-word, and he basically was conveying his message through that interview, which went viral. I forgot the young lady. I think Cleotrapa. I think she had something to do with that interview. She was in there, and she was basically asking him the questions. Now, to a certain degree, I can, and I got the video, I'm gonna play it for you. To a certain degree, I can understand where he's coming from. Maybe he was raised around a neighborhood where that was okay, but to say that that's widely going to be accepted, we know that that's just simply not true. It's not true for that thought pattern to widely be acceptable, where tons of people, it's out, tons of people feel disrespected, and to say that there's a safe place, and we're not saying hip hop, but in that type of music, this new music that's coming up, yes, there definitely could be a safe place, where people can honestly open up about their thoughts, feelings, emotions, opinions on certain issues, topics, and some people, they may be able to. Yes, that exists. I will say that does exist, but for the majority of people who are not making money hand over fist is pretty much not acceptable for someone to just like walk around and basically demean you or, you know, call you out your name. And again, I think it's a no derogatory term. It's no. So let's not try to not accept that. Okay. And Godfrey talked about it in the Pivot podcast. I could have put his clip up there, but just to paraphrase what he said, he was basically saying that yes, it exists, but you know, we as black people, we're really not mean people like that. And I'll just say this, just to stop right there. You see some people really struggle to try to clearly articulate that their thoughts and opinions on this topic, and it's really a big deal. But I got the guy OT, Mexican OT, and I'll play his interview for you guys really quickly.
Feel like you could say the N-word?
I feel like I can say it, but not because of that, and I'm gonna tell you why. I wish there was some black dudes in here.
There are. Where right there?
And there's one right here. Not.
Okay, well, we're gonna use him. What the fuck are you gonna do about it, you know? And then second of all, I grew up loving these. I grew up fighting with them. I grew up eating with them. I grew up doing bad shit. I grew up loving with them. You know, I got family. And it's not even about family. Even if I wasn't related to nobody out black, I mean, it was. It's what I was surrounded by, you know? Like, I respect people that they feel that way. And that's why I try to up about it.
Right.
But if you're from where I'm from, or anywhere, what the gonna do about it? You know? It's like I don't went to the jungle and earned the lion's head. You know?
So basically in response to that, and it was kind of disrespectful. I really don't want to get too much into it, but generally the thoughts on that interview was this guy was being disrespectful. He like asked like, hey, is there any black people in here? And yes, you can see he tried to make a joke out of it, which probably really wasn't funny. And like, yes, humor. Not everybody's going to get that. Okay. And to a certain degree, he's making money off of it. So he wants everybody to be cool with it. Everybody's not going to be okay. And everybody's not going to be cool with it just because you're making money off of it. Okay. And so basically she says, Anicia, she says, if you're not black, stop saying N-word, period. I don't know why that's so hard. I don't care who you grew up with. If you're not black, expand your vocabulary, which people can agree on that. And you know, I think Sauce Walka, he signs a lot of these artists, which Mexican OT is not signed to him, right? Even though they have collabed this year and they've made money together. They've also done features, right? I think with each other. But I know they made money together with music. But Sauce Walka has artists who use that, you know, use the N-word, and he makes money through them. Right. So to a certain degree, and even with that being said, through his music, and it, you know, 70% of Americans and individuals who buy CDs are white. Okay, looking at the ethnic groups who purchase the most CDs, it's gonna be white, even though it's moving more to stream, right? The ethnic groups, you know, who buy the most CDs, it's gonna fall under white. Okay, even though, you know, black Americans pretty much founded and created hip hop, you know, you still have, you know, white people that are consuming it at larger rates. So, and I've even heard like rappers say that to a certain degree. Like when you go to their concerts, you look out into the crowd, and you know you're gonna see like a suburban community. So they feel a certain type of way. These are the people that's out there supporting them, going to their shows. So yeah, they feel a certain way. These are the faces that they always see. So they're gonna feel a certain level of camaraderie with these guys. these individuals are largely held responsible for making them wealthy. So of course they're gonna feel a certain way about that. Okay. And Sauce Walka has something to say, and I said this was an interesting video because you just the clip that I showed you right now, and you had Sauce Walka. You had two rappers basically say how they feel about their fan, which you don't really get a lot of. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's so interesting. You have these individuals, and it wasn't no interview room that they had to corner Sauce Walka into. He pulled his phone out and he said, you know what? I'm going to make a video and I'm uploading this video. And he's basically telling his opinions on, racism or other people being able to say the N-word. Because it's a business at the end of the day. These guys make a lot of money. And just think about the things that they can do with that money. How does that circulate? The economy, et cetera, et cetera. How does the trickle effect work on that? A lot of individuals are rich through rap, and through their creativity, they made that possible, and they've grown and they created a fan base, like a pretty strong fan base for that, not just Americans, globally. So I got Sauce Walker's response to that, and I'll play it for you right now.
I hate when y'all make me do this shit. Okay. Y'all dumbass motherfuckers are so dumb and brainwashed that y'all believe that racism is words instead of actions. Are you dumb? Let me teach you dumb motherfuckers what racism is in America. Racism is segregation and separation. What niggas do now? Hey man, you can't come to my hood because you ain't from this hood. You can't hustle on my block because you ain't from this block. Oh, you rubbed the wrong color, nigga. You ain't this. You can't come do this and that, nigga.
In about 2 miles, take exit 2D on the left to merge onto I-395
opportunity
East.
from him. I'ma rob him. I'ma kill him because I don't want this nigga to be in my area. That's what they used to do to niggas. They used to hang niggas because they didn't want us on their streets. They used to burn people's houses and put crosses in their yard because they didn't want you in the neighborhood.
So he also tweeted this. He says, "She barely black, just like my kids. Laugh out loud. How you gonna say who can say the N-word? That's like saying black people can't eat tacos. Ignorance at its finest." And also, here's the definition of racism. Prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism by an individual, community, or institution against a person or people on the basis of their membership in a particular racial or ethnic group, typically one that is a minority or marginalized. So I think Anicia would be right if she felt that he was being prejudiced or antagonizing her, being an individual based on her membership, particularly racial, and she's being marginalized by that. So I think she would feel, by the definition, she would feel right that she's being discriminated against, knowing the history of that word, and just the civil rights movement that has been written into law. That word was being used to discriminate against people. Jim Crow laws, segregation. That was a whole movement that took place, and so she would feel right for someone, knowing the history of that word and to be freely to say it, and then for her not to feel a way based on the history of the word. It's lunacy at its finest, but I do understand, listening to Sauce Walka or listening to rappers say it, I can understand. I can understand their ism, while some people may have like a dissonance with that thing, because I can understand your plight, or your or vice versa, being, you're being a minority in America, right? So I can understand that. But then when someone else's interpretation of everything that you just put on that track, and then they come out and they say, well, of course it's going to have a different meaning because it's taken out of context. Everything's just discombobulated. The meaning has now changed, and everyone sees that, and everyone kind of understands that to a certain degree, right? But then when, like, I'm not saying people can't say it, right, to a certain degree, but just understand what that means, right? And it's a lot that goes on with that. Now, me personally, am I hanging around anybody like that? No, and I'll choose not to do that. That's like almost a mental illness, right? When somebody they don't understand what they're saying or what they're doing. I don't hang around with people who don't grasp simple understandings. I just can't do it. Okay, I can't do it. But I understand what Sauce Walker's doing because he's making a lot of money, and he's doing that, and I can respect him for that. And I hope this was like made any sense to you guys as well. But like the video for me. Most importantly, subscribe to my YouTube channel so you guys do not miss a video when I do upload it, okay? That would be highly appreciative. I would be highly appreciative of you guys if and when you guys do that. But that's what I got for you. Ciao.